Good morning. The sun is out and it's going to be a pretty warm day today for us. It's supposed to be in the 30s, which is nice. I ran out this morning and I picked up an aluminum brake. Don't know if I'm gonna have time to use that today. I don't think so, but I need to pick it up when I had a chance because we need to bend some aluminum flashing so we can put it on top of our stone ledger for a drip edge. And then I also want to try to make my own aluminum flashing to cover up all of the exposed pine. I got a couple of coil stocks of black aluminum, so that should be nice. I'm just working on marking my layout. I got it marked out here. I'll mark it out on this corner, and then we should be able to start going over on this side today because it is all dry. I'm gonna have to wait and see how the weather is. The Toolcat is supposed to be getting delivered any minute now. The Toolcat, all 4 injectors on it had gone bad. The electronical parts on them had gone bad, and that was the issue. So we bought it off of a local dealer to us, Champlain Valley, and I was actually really impressed. They are covering half of the expense of the parts and labor. So thank you, Champlain Valley. Highly appreciate that. A lot of times when you buy used equipment, you don't really have any coverage. So I'm really impressed and I appreciate Champlain Valley doing that. So yeah, they should be dropping it off, waiting for a phone call or to hear them coming up the road. Then we can go meet them, get that. But while we're waiting, I want to get this layout finished up and hopefully to get all this stone done. The siding is sitting down there waiting for us to get to it. It's supposed to be kind of a warmer week this week. So let's see what we can accomplish. Well, we got the old Toolcat back. She's running like a champ. But unfortunately, we don't have any snow in the forecast to use it for snow blowing. So I'm sure we'll end up getting some more at some point. But we've had a very mild year snow-wise. All right, hold this on that mark like so. I gotta level it. All right, now we can at least get the first 4 feet marked. So that when we get our corner on, we're not losing it. All right, so they are moving equipment down lower. This area right here, we plan on doing like a pastured pig area. And then there's some nice maples down below. We're gonna have them cut open some stuff, leave the maples. And then we're gonna be making a field below. And we want a trail to connect this area, the woods, and the new pasture. They're gonna stop meandering their way down and making everything connect. So it's gonna be exciting to see what it looks like. We'll have lots of work to do this spring. All right, this is the part we find that's a little bit slower. On the front here, we have a concrete sidewalk and it's a different height than our side. So we have to figure out the height we need for each space and then go ahead and rip everything. So it just takes a little bit more time, but in the end, it's gonna look really nice. So I'm just gonna put 3 high and see how much I need to cut off the bottom one to get to our mark. Ooh, pinched my finger.
Just a lip.
I think basically just an inch. Yeah, you gotta rip off an inch. So, that's gonna look so nice.
I was just thinking the same thing.
All right, 62¼ So 2 pieces would be like 80 inches. So if we rip 2 of them down, an inch off. Actually, let's see. I guess if we started here with that one, what would that give us? That would work because they're 40 something, so we can use this piece. We'll test it first before we cut the other one. All right, 1, 2, and 3. Look at that, right
on the line.
So good.
Arlo. So this stuff is a different caulking and it's supposed to dry clear. So if you see it looks white and you're like, what are you doing? It's supposed to dry clear. So hopefully it does. Because that doesn't look that pretty. It looks like, we'll just pretend it's snow if it is.
It says clear right on it, so.
We will be the first to find out. $33.25. Oops. I almost forgot some. All right, we gotta cut some corners and then we can start working back this way and we'll have the front done. One more outlet to work around. Watch out, Tanner. You're not supposed to cut corners when you're building.
I have to cut corners. There's no way around it in this project. Right there is good. I just want to get some measurements and see how much we need to cut or notch this corner out. Seems a lot more than what we were cutting off of the other pieces.
Yeah, it does.
Something don't seem right. So it's like 2 3/8.
Totally not to cut corners.
I know, right? So we are
32 inches.
just 32 and an eighth. 33. 18. 18.
But let's see what this says.
18.
Okay, that's good. Okay, go to this corner.
So from the very top, it's 17. So, and that's how the other side is too, because I was measuring from here.
Yeah.
So what I'm just thinking is if I go to that line and measure to the window, we should be 17.
Yeah.
And then we'll just have to, this line is right. I just don't know why this is off so much.
Well, maybe just for your cement.
Yeah, it's got to be the sidewalk fluctuates. All right, so we've come to the conclusion that our concrete sidewalk is off, and that's what is contributing to this factor. This line is nice and level all the way across. It's just that this sidewalk isn't perfect, which is fine. I just wanted to make sure that this top line is right, so when we go to set our siding, that we're nice and level. We can just kind of run with it. We don't got to make any adjustments, so we'll be good. All right, I like that right there. All right, I just went around and I measured from the top down, and the stone to the bottom is the same on this side as it is on the other corner. So that is good. I don't know why I just feel like it is off, but I feel that way, but it's not. So it's just this front sidewalk, I think, is off a little bit, and that's messing with us. And actually, when me and Gina poured the front sidewalk and the slab for the greenhouse room, that was a separate pour. We did it. It was supposed to be cold out that day, so we had the concrete company put in an accelerant so it would cure faster. Well, it didn't end up being cold out that day. It was warm. So this concrete cured really fast, so we weren't able to work it and get it perfect. I was gonna do a jaunt out for our conduit, but I decided not to, because at some point when we build the main house back over there, we're gonna have to dig a line down and tie into this box. So I don't know how big I would need to make a jaunt out, so we're just gonna leave it alone and this will be exposed. And then later on, if we wanna do something, we can cover it up at that point. But that'll be a little while before we're ready for that. So we're still working on figuring out all of the logistics for clearing and making this into a pasture. We're going to be clearing this out a little bit at a time to see how much pasture we want to go, like how good of ground it is going to be to turn it into pasture. There's quite a bit there. We're going to take it like a little bit at a time. I'll put it that way. And I'm going to keep an eye on it and tell them more or if that's good. And then over here, we're going to make a landing so they can park all of their equipment, do all the chipping, and have the crane with the head down here to cut the trees to length. And we have all the way up here, we're going to be working on clearing to make into a pasture. We can go that way quite a bit. It just depends on how rocky it is and how good it is. There's a lot of huge boulders. We probably won't keep going further, but if it's good ground, we'll keep going and we can make that into a nice pasture. Not really looking for a hayfield. If it could be hayfield, awesome, but it doesn't have to be hayfield. It could just be pasture to run the animals in. So yeah, just kind of walking around and looking at everything, taking stock. I did see a deer run across here, and then I followed its tracks. It went right in here. It's kind of funny. It likes following all the trees that have been cut. They can go in there and eat the top. So my guess is tonight, tomorrow morning, they're going to be right here eating these trees. Pretty exciting. What a beautiful snowy morning. Wasn't expecting it still to be snowing this morning, but it is. I want to get this side finished, rocked, and then we'll have all of the main rock done. We just need to do our ledgers. Front is taking me a lot longer than I thought it was going to. I can see why now, because we had to make sure that everything was nice and level, and our sidewalk isn't perfectly straight, so we're trying to make sure that it all goes good and everything matches up all the way across. But I thought I would just come in the front and boom, I'll have this done in like half a day. It didn't happen that way, and then when the cold weather the other day, we kind of wimped out and called it quits early because it was cold and windy. But I'm glad we did, because we had a frozen up culvert that is fixed up. We were able to get the road in good condition for the weather we had. So as much time as this is taking us, we've kind of had to go on to other projects. So we've been bouncing back and forth with our weather and everything else going on with the logging. So the goal is to get that stone all put up today, and then we can come back and get the ledger board done. I'm still kind of scratching my head how I'm going to do that bump out, but once we get over there, we'll get it figured out. This is definitely not the best weather to be doing this side on, because we're getting that snow dripping down our necks. But I'm afraid if we don't do it now, it's going to get wet, and then we're not going to be able to do it for a little while because all the zip board is going to be wet. So at least if we get the stone up, we're getting wet, and then if we get any splash, and the stone's going to be getting wet, and we don't have to worry about the zip underneath getting wet and waiting for that to dry. So this is where we're going to have to stop for now. When we were first started, the roof is covered in snow, but everything was frozen still, and it decided to either warm up a bit, or that little bit of sun started to melt it and started dripping. I am soaked and I'm frozen. We're getting splash up on the wall where we stopped, and we don't want to have water on the wall or have it wet when we put the stuff up. So we're not going to be able to do that little area. We're going to have to let that dry out. I don't know how many days it's going to take to dry out, but the majority of the house is done now. We can stop putting the ledger on, but not right now. I am frozen. All right, out here down below, walking into the area we're having turned into pasture. There's the house. There's our road. And we had them go about 100 yards from the road this way. And they're going to go down further. But I'm just curious to see how far that way we have them go. While they're here, how much do we want to take and make into pasture? The biggest reason why I want to do more than less right now, is what I'm thinking, is because right now they're already here. This wood is chipper wood, and for pulp to make paper with, it's nothing that's like huge dollar wood, but there's some money in it, but just not a lot. So if I have them work it while they're already here with all their equipment, we can get paid to do it. If I have them come back later on just to make more pasture in this area, we would have to pay them most likely to come back, because I don't think there'd be enough money that'd be worth it in here for them to move all their equipment in to offset the transportation of everything, if that makes sense. So that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to figure out how much do we want to go now, because at this point, the only thing it's going to cost us is when we make it into pasture. It's going to cost us to stump it and stuff like that. But the wood part of it won't cost us, and we'll actually make some money off of the wood to put back in to turning it into pasture. So I'm going to be monitoring this area quite a bit while they're down here cutting, so I can tell them if I want them to go more that way. I'm pretty sure their game plan is to work down this way, keep going down that way, and then I'll know yes, no, I don't know kind of thing. So I just want to walk this right now and see how it looks over there. Looks like there's a nice knoll, so I want to see if that's still a good flat area. Right now I'm not seeing anything in here that's like, oh, this is going to be too hard to turn into a pasture. There's some rocks, but it's not, doesn't have a lot of big rocks. So yeah, we're just gonna keep walking. All right, I'm out here in the woods walking. The sun is setting right there, and I stumbled across these tracks. They're not fresh, but I'm trying to figure out what they are. These right here, going in a straight line, boom, boom, boom. A little bit bigger than my hand. I'd almost think it's bear track, but the bears are hibernating right now, so I'm not sure what those would be. They're no more than a week old, so I don't know. I've seen them out here quite a bit. There's another line of them down there, like they found a spot and they kept walking around and then going different lines. I couldn't tell if there was more than one of them or not, but I really don't know what they would be. So if you know, let me know.
Well, because I can start eating some new stuff, I am going to finally make some chicken marsala. I'm going to do it over over mashed potatoes. I don't know if that's weird or if that's normal. Just want to give you a little tip. One of the things I do, if you like mashed potatoes, I just did a whole pot. It's more than enough for us, so that way we can have mashed potatoes again for the next night, or I can do fried potatoes, or maybe I want to make a shepherd's pie. I already have some mashed potatoes already made, so that way there's one step ahead of the next supper, so, or dinner, whatever you want to call it. So that is a tip that I have for you. Another thing is I had made some chicken broth, and I like to freeze them, so I have them frozen in 2 cups, 1 cup, and this is actually something that I freeze lard in. It's half cup. So I need a half cup actually for this recipe. One other thing is I believe we've already eaten through all of our pieced up chicken, so I couldn't find any chicken breasts. So I had roasted the chicken the other night. So I'm gonna go ahead and use already cooked chicken. So basically what I'm gonna do is make the chicken marsala like gravy and then use my pre-cooked chicken in there. So I'm kind of skipping a step and gonna have to make like a roux so I can have it thicken up. I love having frozen chicken broth in my freezer, having it available all the time.
One of the things we did try to plan while we were keeping in mind of the solar power site is sun location. And the sun is just about down, but the panels are still getting a little bit of sun on them. They're making just under 1,000 watts of power right now. So not a lot, but that means we get full afternoon sun on our solar panels. And that's when you make the most power, is from 10 a.m. on. So by cleaning out over on that side, we get early morning sun, so we'll get about 8, 9 o'clock. For sure we get 9 o'clock sun, but we get 8 o'clock sun.
here is my leftover chicken. I'm just gonna add that to my mushrooms, my onions, and my garlic. Just get that mixed in. It smells so good. If you love mushrooms. All right, so this is my marsala wine and my chicken broth. And the reason I am mixing it, I'm trying to make it less sweet. Al doesn't like a really sweet masala. So I'm trying to just make sure everybody's happy. And then I'm trying to make sure I get all the bits off the pan here. I'm gonna let that sit here and cook some. And then I have a roux already made. I'm gonna get my mashed potatoes mashed, or my potatoes mashed, and then see if we can get it thickened up. And then we should be ready to eat.
Gina's fermented root beer. Tastes like a root beer slash ginger beer. Still need to work on the carbonation end of it. It's got a little bit of fizz and not a lot.